Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a table and graph for a science prac report in Excel. So, so the first thing, I'm using some data here from an Ohm's law prac that our students conducted. The data has been entered into a table that was provided by the teacher in a Google Doc. So, as a general rule, when you're putting a table into a science report, it's usually a good idea to use a data table structure provided by the teacher. So the first thing I'm going to do is copy everything. So just right click, copy, open up an Excel tab. Okay, that's something I was working on before. Okay, so I've got a blank sheet here and I will paste my data into Excel. Okay, so you can make it look nice, make the columns a bit bigger. If you want, see some of these cells have not merged, so we can merge the cells if we want to using this button. So if we merge those cells, okay, we can also center. So yeah, I might just do that with these ones as well. So merge, center. I lost units in that cell, so I have to put them back. You have to have units. Okay, so you get the idea. Now the next thing you can do is we can maybe put some fill into the header row, make it look a bit nicer. You'll notice that this data has got units in the table body. Normally we don't like to see that, but because we have such a large range of values, we needed to put units in the table body. When we graph in Excel, however, Excel won't recognize those as numbers, so we have to do something about that. Now, what next? Okay, so you can see here these numbers are in powers of 10. It's not true scientific notation, but we do need to change that. Okay, so this we have a blank row here. Let's just delete that. Actually, no. Let's just go back to my original data. I forgot to take some data with me. I'll take that as well. Copy. Paste. That's better. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just take the data that we're going to graph, copy that, and we'll create a little working table over here. Alright, so we want to graph the current in amperes as our independent variable, so that'll be on the horizontal axis, and the potential difference in volts on the vertical axis. So we don't need this column. We can delete it. We don't need this column. I'm just right clicking to delete that. So these numbers are, well, they're very small for you to see, so I can make them a little bit larger. 10 points, so that's probably too large. 8 points. Alright, now, okay, we need to change these into a format that Excel will recognize as a number. So this is one way. So 0.6e minus 6. Okay? There you go, and it's changed it into scientific notation for us, which is 6 times 10 to the minus 7. So that's one way. I could go through and change them all one at a time. Another way that sometimes works, you can highlight the whole lot and do a find and replace. So if I'm searching for, let's say I'm searching for times 10 So I've got a space with most of these, so times 10, space times 10, and I'm just going to replace that with E and hit replace all, and it seems to have worked quite well. So they are now in a form that Excel will recognize as numbers. Okay, so now that we have our working table with the values that we're going to use to make our scatter plot, let's make the scatter plot. So there are a couple of ways of doing this. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. I'll try it. So you can highlight the whole lot. We go Insert, then over to Charts, and we choose Scatter Plot. Right, so it didn't work. Okay, no, that's okay. So what we can do is, if you right-click in the chart area, go Select Data, let's just remove everything. Start again. So what we want to do is we want to add a series, and we can choose a series name, called current. Okay. We select our X values, which are these ones, and we select our Y values, which are potential difference. And oops, that doesn't look right either. Okay, so this looks good. We've got these values are plotting quite nicely, but there's something funny going on with these ones. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to shut this all down. Okay, I think it's these cells here. It looks like that they're. We click on this. Okay, it's storing those numbers as text for some reason. So if we just highlight them all and convert them to numbers. Yeah, okay, so that's worked. So now we have all of our data plotting properly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just move this, I'll drag this chart down a bit. I'll move it down here. Make it bigger so that we can work with it. Alright, so there's a few things that we have to do. Maybe that's too big, you can't actually fit it all on one screen. Okay, so we need a title. So I could call this Ohm's Law. Current. This is potential difference. So your graph should always have a title. Okay, now there's a couple of other things that are wrong with this graph. I don't know if you noticed, but there are no axis labels. So if I click in the chart area and come over to this plus sign, I can add axis titles, which is important. So, alright, I'll call this axis title will be current, and it needs to have units, amperes. This axis title, potential difference, and units. Oops, you can move the titles around and you can change the size of the plot area as well. So I can actually put that up there so I can see my axis title. And just drag my axis title down a bit. Okay, so it's a little bit fiddly, but we can get there in the end. Okay, so another thing that is not so good with this is all the decimal places in the numbers. It makes it look a bit busy. So if you click onto the axis, onto the numbers, and right click Format Axes, you can scroll down to Number. Scientific's good, I think, but we can get rid of the decimal places and put 0. It will make it look a bit tidier. Okay, so that looks better. And we can do the same with these numbers. So if we right click Format Axes, go down to Number, change the number of decimal places again. Okay, so that looks better. I think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that you can see it all. There we go. Okay, so what we need now is, I'll just move that in a bit. What we need now is we need a trend line through our data. So to add a trend line, we click on Chart Elements, come down to Trend Line, more options. Okay, I think a linear trend line is going to work quite well for us here, so we'll choose that. And I can come down and set the intercept to be 0. I want it to be 0. I can display the equation on the chart and the R-squared. So I have an R-squared of 1, which means I have a very, very good correlation between my two sets of variables. So you'll notice that the slope of the graph is displayed. What you can do, you can see there's got too many significant figures, so if you click on it, you can edit it. I'll make it 3SF. That's what most of our data was, 3SF. So you'll see that it's 818, the slope. So I might just change the title for 820. I can put a Greek character in, the symbol for ohms. Well, the units ohms, I should say. And okay, right, so that's finished. I want to show you one more thing, and that's how to fit a trend line when none of the Excel trend lines seem to work. So insert an illustration, a shape. I'll use this curve here. Whenever you're fitting a best fit line, don't go very far beyond your data points. You can go a little bit beyond them, so start here, but don't go too far beyond. So if I come up to about here, you can click, and here, and click, here, here, and yeah, then escape. Okay, there you go. That's drawn a trend line through your data points. So that's the end of the tutorial. Good luck.